Everyone wants the crown, but nobody wants to bleed music for it. We live in a world that's obsessed with the after picture. Music, the penthouse view, the zero-stress morning routine, the effortless confidence. Music. We've been sold this lie that if you just want it bad enough, the universe will simply hand you the keys. But you aren't here for a fairy tale, and I'm not here to tell you one. If you want to stand on a summit that music most people only see in their dreams, you have to realize that the path music isn't paved with gold. It's paved with glass. Success, music, is a trade. It's a transaction. You are buying a life of music freedom, but the currency isn't money. It's suffering. Not the kind of suffering that breaks you, but the kind that burns away everything in you that isn't music essential. If you want the life of the 1%, you have to be willing to endure what the 99% run away from. Most people quit the moment it starts to hurt. They think the pain is a sign to stop. But for the elite, the pain is the confirmation that music, the transformation, has finally begun. There are 7 specific music types of suffering you must invite into your life if you ever want to see the version of yourself that is actually capable of winning. Chapter 1. The first thing you have to suffer is the death of your reputation. This is the hardest one for most people because we are biologically wired to music, want to be liked. We are addicted to being understood. We spend half our lives desperately, music, trying to curate our own stories, obsessing over making sure everyone around us has the correct version of who we are. But if you want to succeed, you have to be okay with being the villain in someone else's story. You have to suffer the heat of being misinterpreted music and not feel the slightest urge to fix it. When you decide music to stop being manageable and start being exceptional, people will call you arrogant. They'll call you cold. They'll say you've changed. Let them. Your character music isn't a brand for public consumption. It's a fortress. If you're still music looking for a like or a share or a nod of approval before you make a move, you aren't a king. You're a hostage. Success requires the suffering music of absolute social indifference. You have to realize that what people think music of you is none of your business. Their opinions are just ghosts, music, and you don't build a kingdom on haunted ground. Chapter 2. The second thing you must suffer is music, the crushing weight of boredom. Everyone talks about the hustle, music, but nobody talks about the monotony. Real success is incredibly boring. Music. It's doing the same unglamorous, repetitive tasks for 1,000 days in a row when nobody's music watching and nobody's cheering. It's the 3 a.m. work sessions music where there is no vibe, no inspiration, and no music that makes it feel cinematic. It's just music, you, and the work. Most people fail because they are addicted to novelty. They start a project, get a hit of dopamine, music, and then quit as soon as the newness wears off. They can't handle the suffering of the plateau. Music. But the plateau is where the real work happens. You have to fall in love with the boredom. You have music to suffer the repetition until your excellence becomes an automated reflex. If you can't endure the mundane, you will never see the magnificent. Music. Then comes the suffering of isolation. Chapter 3. There is a specific kind of cold music that exists at the top of the mountain. As you grow, your circle will inevitably shrink. It's music not because you've become too good for people. It's because the frequency you're operating on is no longer audible to music, the people you left behind. You will have to suffer the loss of friends who were only comfortable music with you when you were struggling together. You will have to sit at tables where you feel completely alone because no one understands the music vision that keeps you awake at night. This is the price of admission. You cannot carry everyone with you into the future. Some people are meant to be music chapters, not the whole book. If you try to drag everyone along, you'll end up staying in the valley just to keep them happy. You have to be willing to walk through the dark alone before you can stand in the light with the giants. Chapter 4. The music fourth suffering is the most intimate, the grief of the old self. To become the person you want to be, music you have to ruthlessly murder the person you used to be. You have to suffer the loss of your old habits, your old comforts, music, and the version of you that was good enough. This is a literal grieving process. Sometimes you'll miss the person who didn't care about discipline. You'll miss the version of you that could just sleep in and play it safe. But that person music is the primary obstacle to your success. You have to stand over the grave of your former self music and refuse to let them crawl back out. Success is a constant state of shedding skin. It's painful. Music, it's raw, and it feels like you're losing your identity. But you, music, aren't losing yourself. You're discovering the steel underneath the clay. Chapter 5. Next, you must suffer the uncertainty of music, the void. Most people need a map. They need a guarantee. They want to know exactly how it's going to work out before they take the first step. But the world doesn't music work that way. Success requires you to jump into the dark, and music trust that you'll grow wings on the way down. You have to suffer the anxiety of not knowing if your business will fail, if your investment will music tank, or if you're just wasting your life. You have to live in that maybe for months or years. This uncertainty kills music most people's ambition. They retreat back to the safety of a paycheck and a predictable routine because the not knowing music is too much to bear. But the not knowing is where the power is. If you can stay calm while everyone else is panicking music about the future, you become the person who controls the future. You have to suffer the lack of a road music map until your own results become the map. The sixth music thing, chapter 6, is the suffering of absolute responsibility. It is so much easier to be a victim. There is a weird comfort in being able to point a music finger at the economy, your parents, your boss, or your bad luck. When you're a victim, music, nothing is your fault. But the moment you decide to succeed, you lose the right to music, make excuses. You have to suffer the weight of knowing that if you fail, it is 100% on you. Every mistake, music, every setback, and every delay is your responsibility. This weight music is terrifying. It's a heavy, jagged crown that never comes off. Most people can't handle it. Music. They crumble under the pressure and start looking for someone to blame. But the Stoic knows that when you take total responsibility for the problem, you gain music total power over the solution. You have to suffer the burden of leadership first over yourself, music, and then over your world. Chapter 7. And finally, you must suffer the judgment of the weak. When you start winning, you don't just attract admirers, you attract music vultures. You will be judged by people who have never stepped into the arena. You will be music criticized by people who are too afraid to even try what you're doing. Music. They will pick apart your mistakes, laugh at your setbacks, and try to pull you back down to their level. You have to suffer their noise without flinching. You have to music realize that their criticism isn't about you. It's a confession of their own inadequacy. A lion doesn't turn around when a small dog music barks. He keeps walking because he knows who he is. You have to music be so grounded in your own virtue that the opinions of the explainers and the critics feel like nothing more than the wind blowing against a mountain. Music. You don't justify, you don't argue, and you don't explain, you just endure. Success is music, not a destination. It is a refined state of being. It's music what's left when you've suffered through the noise, the doubt, the boredom, and the loneliness. Most people will listen to this music and think that sounds miserable. And they're right. For them, music would be because they are looking for a comfortable life. But you're looking for a legendary life. You understand that the iron only becomes a sword when it's put through the fire. You don't run from the heat. Music. You step into it. So the next time you feel cornered, the next time you feel like the music world doesn't understand you, or the next time the boredom feels like it's going to swallow you whole, smile. Music. That is the price of the crown being deducted from your account. Pay it. Pay it willingly. Stop looking for the easy way out, and music start looking for the hard way through. Because on the other side of these 7 sufferings isn't music just success. It's a version of you that is unbreakable. Music. It's a peace that no one can disturb and a power that no one can take music away. The era of making excuses is over. The era of seeking permission, music, is dead. From this moment on, you don't owe the world an explanation. Music. You only owe yourself the results. Stand like the mountain. Music, endure like the stone. Let them stay in the dark. You have a kingdom to run. If you've music made it this far, if you're actually ready to stop being the defendant and start being the king, music, leave a comment right now that says, I am the king. It's time to show the world, music, and yourself that you are no longer a victim of circumstance, but a master of fate. The trial, music, is over. The verdict is in. You are, music, the only judge that matters. Now go build the music future they said you couldn't have.